Hey y'all, and welcome to Miles Vexler News. Senator Schmidt pulls out perhaps one of the best videos in Senate history that reminds everyone, including the Democrats, that they used to run cover for Joe Biden's mental decline. Let's dive in. Welcome to Miles Vexler. If you felt disgust, confused, and exhausted all at once, that was the plan. But awareness is resistance. Let's turn into power. Watch the video.
Thank you for those opening statements. The minority did not call any witnesses for today's hearing. They have chosen to ignore the hearing as they chose to ignore President Biden's mental decline. But we do have a short video of some previous statements from Biden administration officials and Democrat Party officials telling us not to believe our lying eyes. We can play the video.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. I can't even keep up with it.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries, people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for us to keep up with this president.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep, your boots will get stuck in.
Okay. Given sort of the role that you played in trying to provide more transparency of what happened during the 4 years under Joe Biden, who was running the country under Joe Biden? Let's just take the last 2 years.
It's a great question, Senator, and at some level, I'm not the right witness for this hearing. There should be members of the media here, maybe some of your Senate colleagues who had known the president over the years and obviously had close proximity during the time of his administration, and obviously his staff. I think, sort of align with your previous question, there is a real consideration here on authentication. And in my time in the first Trump White House, there was an exhaustive process to determine how paper flowed into the Oval and when the president had given his assent to a certain action. That was through, in fact, 2 different policy channels, the staff secretary, and then there was also an office, essentially of policy management, guiding the flow of documentation. If the Biden administration staffers and personnel wanted to put this to bed, they could very easily dispel all of this by saying, here are the documents that show the president assented to these actions. The Trump administration would have that. Previous administrations would have that. And if that's not there, then there is cause to improve the way that executive branch employees authenticate actions undertaken by the president.
Yeah, I mean, the president actually performing the functions of president is kind of an important thing in our constitutional order. You had, kings used to affix their seal to show that this was an official declaration from the sovereign. In this country, the sovereign are the people. They delegate, the authority to their elected representatives. And as you mentioned in your opening statement, there's only one person elected by everybody. So that signature, this is not just a small point, that signature issuing a pardon for someone who'd been convicted of a crime, or in the case of Joe Biden, these preemptive pardons, which are sort of unprecedented, is a big deal. And I think that's part of the reason why we're here today.
What a supercut, ladies and gentlemen. And then having that recreation music in the background, it's just the cherry on top of this Sunday. I wish I could be laughing out of joy, but honestly, I'm laughing out of absurdity. You just watched a 2-minute clip of multiple high-ranking Democrats, from secretaries of state to senators to congressmen and women, all the way to Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and even Karine Jean-Pierre herself, all proclaiming the exact same thing. Joe Biden's fine. He's perfectly fine. He's sharper than ever. He's better than a whole lot of people at much younger ages. Yeah, bullcrap. That's exactly what it is. Just a whole lot of crap. We knew better. The public knew better ever since Joe Biden fell off his bicycle over in New Jersey. We knew something was up. And as a matter of fact, our fears were completely justified. This is a book by Jake Tapper. And we cover Jake Tapper a lot. And I'm honestly shocked that he still has a job in mainstream media. Eventually, after Joe Biden left office, he wrote an entire book. By the way, I'm not even halfway through this thing yet, and I've already got over, I think, about 25 notations of major stories where people should have pumped the brakes and said, okay, Joe Biden, you probably shouldn't be president. You should probably step down. Instead, you had an entire team of people whose sole job was to run the White House, while Joe Biden acted as the puppet. Sorry, as the puppet, not the puppeteer. These people were called the Plet Bureau. And if that name sounds familiar, that's because it's the political organization that ran the Soviet Socialist Republic. Yeah, communists. They literally used a communist name to describe the little cabal of people that ran Joe Biden's life. I used to think it was just Jill Biden pulling the strings, and sure, she had a lot of power and sway in that group. But no, the real power behind the throne was a handful of advisors who have been longtime friends of Joe Biden. Now, that's not completely unthinkable, all right? The unthinkable part is that you need a president who is present, who knows where he is, who isn't going to fall ill at a moment's notice. We don't want not Benjamin, a William Henry Harrison situation on our hands. You know, the president who gave a 2-hour speech in the pouring rain in January in D.C. caught pneumonia because of it and only lasted 31 days. Somehow, someway, Joe Biden was able to last longer than that. But the weirdest part of this whole story isn't the fact that there were a group of people controlling Joe Biden. It's not even the fact that the media covered it up. It's, in this case, right at the very beginning of this video, that Democrats declined to bring their own witness to this committee to talk about what happened under the Biden presidency. That is a huge admission, because that's either admitting, A, we knew something was up and we don't want the spotlight on us because we knew, or B, we were so ignorant to the problem that we didn't know how to handle it. Either way, it doesn't look good for the Democrats. Although, it never really does. They knew what they were doing. They knew what was going on. And they lied to the American public about it. The American people deserve to know the health of their president. Because if there's enough pressure, that president might feel the need to step down. It's only happened once in our history. And that's because Richard Nixon was probably going to get impeached. Even though Watergate looks like a tea party compared to the political storm that has been happening ever since George W. Bush. Seriously. The worst part about this entire video, however, isn't even the Democrats refusing to bring their own witness to absolve themselves of the problem. It's right there at the end, when Senator Schmidt is talking about the legitimacy of the Biden presidency. Now, we have legal reason to question whether certain pardons, certain laws, what can be considered actual written law, because Joe Biden himself did not sign the document. And if you've ever signed a legal document and you don't dot all of your I's and cross all of your T's, you might have a problem later down the road, because someone can come up and say, no, you didn't file your paperwork correctly, we can legally sue. That's exactly what the Trump administration is now looking into. And I think they've got a legitimate case here. That's another reason the Democrats don't want to bring anything forward. They know that if they dare bring this stuff up, it's an admission that they knew something was going on. Or, like I said earlier, it means they had no idea what was going on, and were therefore a very ignorant and borderline impotent party. That's not what they want to project, ladies and gentlemen. But that's exactly what happened. And the American people know it. And by the way, this book, it's not selling as well as they originally thought it would. Sure, it's a New York Times bestseller, but funnily enough, Democrats don't want to admit that they backed a very, very bad horse in 2020 and then had to back a worse one in 2024. Funny how things work out. But it's an easy read. I do encourage y'all not to pick up a copy. I wouldn't give money to Jake Tapper if it wasn't to make a point. I'm not saying for you to do the same, but when someone reads something out of this, you might want to give it a listen, because I have no reason to doubt anything said in that book. I have no reason to doubt anything that this witness is admitting, and I have no reason to doubt Senator Schmitt, who is correctly calling out his Democrat colleagues without even having to directly call them out, mainly because they were too cowardly to show up, contribute anything to this committee hearing. I guess that's what happens when you don't want to be transparent with the American people. Folks, my name is Miles. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Miles Vexler News. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.